Fox News has now confirmed new TSA rules that apparently impose new restrictions on airline passengers. Specifically, Air Canada says that during the final hours of flight, customers must remain seated, will not be allowed to access carry-on baggage, or have personal belongings or other items on their laps for the last hour of the flight. Well, let's check back in with Neil Livingstone. He joins us on the phone with more on this attempted plot. Thanks for trying to reconnect with us. Again, what jumps out at you as you hear the basic facts of this story?
Well, despite the new regulations that you just referred to, the problem here is much more serious. How did this man get a visa to the United States? How did he get on the plane? What kind of device did he use, and why couldn't we detect it? And the issue here is, once again, we've empowered the passengers ever since 9/11. It was the passengers that took care of this issue, as they did with Richard Reed, the so-called shoe bomber. So what we've got here is passengers 1 and TSA 0. We've got to go back and look at our TSA system very carefully right now.
What would be the harm in saying, look, if you're on the watch list and you're in a foreign country, we're not giving you a visa?
Well, we shouldn't give visas to many of these people. And one of the real problems here, Brian, is the U.S. State Department. Nigeria is not allowed to even fly into the United States with its aircraft because they don't have proper maintenance standards, and they don't have very good security standards. I'm in that country at least once a year. And the problem here is the State Department says, well, we're buying a lot of oil from that country. We have to have good relations. We don't want to offend them. And that's one of the problems that if you talk to TSA people, they'll tell you that we would like to see many fewer visas given to questionable people, and we'd like to see them forced to tighten up their security standards.
What do you think is going to be the uptick of all this as we start to sort out all fact from fiction and we learn more about this case? What will it really mean to the flying public?
Well, I think more and more inconvenience. What we've done is essentially create a system that goes through the motions in many cases and is going to spot the most egregious items that someone tries to bring aboard the aircraft. But we're still not doing the things we need to do. Our profiling system is not adequate. We don't want to offend anyone. So we have a politically correct airline security system in the United States, and that's not good enough. And we also need to make certain that many of these developing countries where the security standards are not as good, that there is rescreening of everyone coming from those countries when they hit Europe or someplace else. Because once you're in the system, you're in the system. And if you go through a very poor screening process someplace and you get on board with a weapon and you're not rescreened, then obviously you put the flying public at risk.
All right, Neil, thank you so much for joining us here on this Saturday. We greatly appreciate it.